we got this conference, this meeting, Outlaw Celebration. It's going to be 14 days. You don't have to come for the entire 14 days, but we'll put up the calendar of events, and you can choose, if you can come 1 day, 2 days. Trust me, whatever the expense is for you to get here, both socially and financially, it's a lot less expensive than what's going to happen if you don't come. And begin to develop the principles that are so necessary. I've been a pastor of the same church for 35 years. This is the longest job I've ever had. I think that I was telling the church on Saturday that if I spent the same 35 years I've stayed here in the Outlaw Church, when I was with Procter & Gamble for 35 or 40 years I'd been with them, I'd be a very wealthy man. And but probably, business economically would be very, very, very powerful as well. But I didn't spend 35 years with Procter & Gamble. That was not God's plan for me to spend that kind of time with them. But I certainly would have probably been promoted to a very high position, maybe given charge of Argentina or Brazil or maybe Japan or someplace like that, to run head up Procter & Gamble in a nation. I was very young when I joined them, and I have a very aggressive spirit and everything, and they kind of liked me over there at Procter & Gamble. But I've been here at the same church for 35 years. That's right. I've been the pastor of the same church, and I've been in Harlem for 35 years. And I got to tell you that it is nothing short of several miracles that God has allowed me to be the pastor for 35 years in Harlem on 123rd Street and Lenox Avenue. 35 years. God has allowed me to be a pastor and to prosper me. And many of you, as my Japheth friends, of course, I got my Hamite friends listening as well, know that this is no small accomplishment to live, to survive, to not be shot down or killed, or have the church burned down. And yeah, I'll say these things. 35 years I've been here preaching the truth, nothing but the stomp down truth. Those are not the things that are really concerning me about treachery to the church. The things that are really concerning me is the mindset of the African American Hamite people. They have a mindset, whether you like this or not, that is one of absolute failure. Their churches don't. Here, Bed-Stuy and Fort Greene in Harlem, the crazy pastors and church people and politicians have given up over $700 billion in property to sodomites and gentrifiers. And they don't own the businesses. In Harlem, the businesses aren't run by the indigenous people nor the church people. And now the pastors are setting their churches. You can dislike me all you want. Say everything you want to say, and I don't like Obama. And you can love and worship Obama. But the truth of the matter is, he can't stop the killings in Chicago. And economically, Hamite people are doing worse now than they've ever done. My greatest threat is not a threat upon my life. The greatest threat that this church and I as a minister have against us is the anger and the ignorance of the Hamite people. Their ignorance is off the chart. Their religion, they're not even Christians. The Church of God in Christ gave up on Jesus many years ago. The Baptist Church, the Black Baptists, the Methodists, they gave up on Jesus many years ago. They're just into religion. They're just into religion, singing and cooking dinners. They're into religion and trying to get rich by the Bible. When God gave them property, imagine of the number of Hamite people that live in New York City, Bed-Stuy, and Fort Greene, and Harlem. What $700 billion would do, and that's just the property. That has nothing to do with the economic, commercial potential of the community that they would have, or the equity that would derive from both of those. What that would do in terms of elevating the economic standing of Hamite people if they had enough sense to know that the $700 billion in property God gave to them. God gave it to them. So my greatest threat is not my being shot down in the street or somebody burning down the church or even foreclosure by the sodomites. That's not the greatest threat. By the way, I got something I want to show you what the sodomite sent me on yesterday. I mean, I'll show it to you tomorrow, rather. The greatest threat is dealing with the churchianity, religiosity, ignorance of my Hamite brothers and sisters. You know, when you look at what's happened now with Nakia Aldridge out there in Chicago and the 2,000 people that have been shot down before her, schoolgirls, little babies in strollers, you would think that church people would recognize, hey Obama, we put you from Chicago. Can't you do something about this? I mean, you're the most powerful man on the planet. Can't you relate to these people? You think the church people would say that? They would ask him, do you care? Carest thou not that they're killing 10,000? They're killing thousands of young Hamite people in Chicago. Obama, carest thou not? You know what they're doing? They're still praising him, so that it is that ignorance. It is that ignorance. These pastors sit before women in their churches they take up offerings from, who ain't got no husbands, raising children by themselves and not demanding that men be righteous. In fact, telling them it's okay to be faggots. That's the greatest threat. But for 35 years, God has kept me. Nothing short of a miracle. And he's going to keep me. Nothing short of a miracle. I want to ask you to come to these meetings we're going to have here. And many of you need to make a special effort. Say, you know, Dr. Manning, I know what you're up against in Harlem. I know how tough it must be on you day after day after day after day. I know how tough it must be on the congregation. I'm going to come. I'm going to stop being so selfish. I'm going to come. I'm going to get myself an airline ticket, or I'm going to get in my car, and I'm going to come and spend a couple of days up there in September through the 14th through the 28th. I'm going to stop being so selfish. I'm going to come and help you. I see what you're up against. Yeah, I know I send my tithes and offerings and everything to help you out, and that's a good thing. But I know I need to come stand with you. I need to come stand on the street with you out there in that courtyard. People are talking about foreclosing your church and flying the rainbow colored flag on the roof of your church. And they are planning on doing that. They're planning on flying the rainbow colored flag on the roof of our church. You need to say, listen, I need to stand with my brother Manning. I need to stand with him. Yeah, I need to support him financially. I know he needs money. Everybody needs money. You know he can't do it without money. Even Jesus needed it. And I'm going to get it, make sure he gets it. I'm going to make sure I get him my tithes and my offering. I'm going to make sure they're always in order and always in place. But I'm going to come stand with my brother. I'm going to just show my face in this place. I'm going to come and support him. And he says 14 days, and yeah, it is 14 days. And we got the list of things that's going to be happening up on the website. You got a whole calendar of days, what's going to be happening. You may want to pick the days in which you're going to be here, you know, and so you can be a part of, you know, with this broadcast training. And pastors in particular, especially the ones that are local right here, who are having to sell their churches, and who, you know, a good friend of mine, Dr. Edward Earl Johnson, died of a broken heart. I drove by his church the other day, and you know, these pastors you just need to know how to expand your ministry. As I said before, we talk to over 500,000 people every week. Somebody listen to me, either on this broadcast, some other broadcasts, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. 500,000 people I reach every week. And I want to show some of these preachers, and maybe you ought to go tell your pastor, if you're not a pastor, tell your pastor, why don't you go up there and sit down for a few days and with Dr. Manning, so you can learn how to, and not that we don't appreciate what you're doing, Pastor, we love you. You know, you talk to them that way and tell them we love you. But if we're going to survive, we're going to have to do a little bit more than what we're doing right now. And Dr. Manning he's paved the way. That man is surviving in Harlem, and he's not for Obama. Dr. Manning is surviving in Harlem. He's the only man on the planet who has led a protest march against Obama, and he did it in Harlem. The only man who's ever led a protest march against Obama, and he did it in Harlem, and he's still surviving. Muhammad Ali's wife came by his church the other day, stopped when she was here for the funeral for Muhammad Ali, stopped and said of Dr. Manning that he is the champion. He is the Muhammad Ali of the gospel today. She stopped with her entourage, a security department, and came and asked to speak to Dr. Manning. She listens to his broadcast. She listens to his teaching and says that he is the greatest in America today, greatest in the world, just like her husband was the greatest. Muhammad Ali's wife said that Dr. Manning is the greatest. That's what she said. You pastors and you people and church leaders. And it's true. It's true. It's nothing short of several miracles. You ought to say, well, you know, I'm going to put aside some of my thoughts and some of my disagreements and some of my, whatever it is that's got me acting the way I act and got me thinking the way I think and everything. I'm going to put aside some of that. I'm going to go up there and stand up with Dr. Manning. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to take some money out. I ain't gonna take no money away from his tithes and offerings, but I'm gonna get myself an airline ticket. And I'm gonna try to bring some people with me too. I'm not gonna just come by myself. I'm gonna try to get on the phone and call some people, tell them, you know, Dr. Manning's a trooper. He's standing there in Harlem, and we ought to go up there to help him. We can go up there 2-3 days to help the man. Or we sitting here standing by idle watching this man fight this battle. We can go up there and help him. And so the days of the 14th through the 28th, this is the, this is the whole list of program, man. We're going to have a lot of teaching. We're going to have some people doing trial sermons. We're going to want to establish some church affiliations. We want to align your church. Maybe your pastor might say, okay, all right, I want to align my church with the Outlaw World Missionary Church. We want to become sister churches. And, of course, there'll have to be some qualifications for that. Or maybe you want to start a school, a home school, like we started some time ago. So you want to start a school in your church, a church school. You might want to be able to do that. All those things are going to be available and possible throughout the 2 weeks of teaching here at the Outlaw World Missionary Church. And then ultimately we got this election coming up, man. We don't know what's going to happen. But we do know who's got the power to hold tomorrow, and that's Jesus. So go online, get registered. It's going to cost you $100 to get registered. Go ahead. It's a whole lot more expensive if you don't come.